in the hood is here to stay, cause it's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is on its way, cause it's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is here to stay, cause it's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is on its way. It's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is here to stay. We gotta stop this violence.
All right, y'all. Here we are at the It's a New Day podcast. And we're about to get ready tonight, talk about some recovery. So we're going to hand off to OG Man. Let him do his thing.
At the time, it was part of the game.
Now I want to welcome everybody to the stage. We got Big Chuck here. We got Clarence Allen, Demetrius, Bobby Buck, Marilyn, and we got Big Marshawn. And I wanted to do this show, and we got Lynn. You got to make sure you ignore her. You know what I mean? She act like a ghost or something.
Lynn Price Compito.
Introduce yourself.
Thank you. And executive producer of the It's a New Day podcast.
That's all.
Amen. Thank you.
I wanted to do this show really because I know a lot of people in recovery. We're at a critical time in our community. You know, it's election time. And I kept thinking about sober minds. You know, sober minds. And especially in our community, you know, we're dealing with a lot of gang violence, police violence. I mean, you know, we just look, I don't know how many people paid attention to the news today, what's going on. They let the police off with Breonna Taylor. You know what I mean? And we're dealing with a lot of stuff. So I wanted to talk to this real quick because it deals with drugs and alcohol. And a lot of us been through that at a time when we were escaping. So, but first I want to ask a question. I'm going to start with my homeboy because I got him on the show, man. Big Duck, Daryl Gray. How long you been in recovery? You got to get up there, unmute yourself. But this, you got a story. How long? Unmute yourself.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. Tell the people how long you been in recovery. And also, why you been in the recovery.
12 years.
Why did you go into recovery?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't go in recovery to get sober. What happened for me is I got out of prison in 2008. And I got back out here doing what we do in these streets. And I found myself absconding one more time, set myself up to go back to prison. So I had a big homie that worked downtown in the Harbor Light. And he told me I need to come up in there. And I slid up in there and I was hiding from the parole officer. So they threatened to put me out of there if I didn't tell him I was there. And so I called him. He came the next day, and he immediately put me in handcuffs. And then what happened was the first miraculous thing that happened in my life. He took the handcuffs off and told me this was what was going to happen if I didn't stay into this program for a year. So I ended up staying for 14 months. But while I was there, you know, I've been to the little AACA and NABs before, but, you know, it was just because I was court ordered and shit. And, you know, it didn't really mean nothing. So this brother came up in there and he spoke. And I couldn't tell you what he said, how he said it, but it caught my attention, you know, just his spiel. And I started working with this brother. He became my sponsor. And I got involved deeply in CA. You know, I jumped in and I looked up and 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, all that shit had passed me by. And next thing I know, I was blowing out candles and I had sponsees and taking them through the work. And you know, as a result of working them 12 steps, which I've done 3 times, man, you know, I watched my life get recreated one day at a time. I no longer go to jail. You know, I got my respect back within my family, within my community. You know, they come to me for counsel today. And then I work with a lot of youth on my job. So, I mean, you know, when you talk about that sober mind, you know, the sober mind is the right mind, because, you know, when I was out there intoxicated, I was incapable of making sound decisions, you know, because most of my decisions was based around drugs and alcohol. So today, you know, I'm able to make very sound decisions, you know, concerning my family, my community, and my job. And, you know, I'm loving life today, man. I wouldn't trade this sobriety here for nothing in the world.
I love that. I love that. See, that's my big home. That's why I want him to go first. Come on. We're going to bring the ladies to the table. Come on, put the tacos down, Demetrius. How long you been in recovery, and what made you go into that?
Basically for myself, the last time I picked up any mind-altering substance was back in 2007. I went to prison, got out. I didn't want to be the same person that I was, because while I was out there, I hated myself. It took away, you know, it took a lot away from me and along with my children. You know, I wasn't happy with myself, even though I was around a lot of good people that nurtured me and taught me how to navigate through this thing called addiction and being out there in the grind. You know, I still wasn't happy. So when I went to prison in 2007, I never looked back. You know, I never looked back. Where I'm at in this thing, at first, I was an NACAA thumper, you know, because I needed a foundation. I had to be willing to accept something other than myself. So when I heard, you know, the first step, you know, and which is just acceptance for, you know, for who you are and what you're at in this disease, that's where I stand on. Because I know that if I take a hit, you know, I can't do it casually. You know, I always have to maintain this right here. You know, never to get comfortable, never to get relaxed. And remember, I'm just a hit away, you know what I'm saying, from them streets. So no matter what I do, no matter how I do it, I always got to remember where I came from. So, and it's been like that for me ever since. Hope I answered your question.
I'm going to still keep with the ladies right now. I love that, sis. I love that, lady. I'm going to get back to something key, though. But, Marilyn, how long you been in recovery, and what made you get into it?
I got into recovery in 1987. I was a counselor, and my field is behavioral sciences. So I actually went to a program to be a counselor, but not an alcohol drug counselor. I was used to working with abused men, women, children. Then as soon as I got into the program to work, I realized by then I had stopped my drinking and drugging, but I still had all the isms. I still had the background. I had all the characteristics. So as I was counseling others, I realized that I was a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, and I got into recovery. I got into the 12-step programs because I listened to some of what they said that really went into my heart and my soul. I was baptized in a church, Southern Baptist church, when I was 10 years old. I had a very personal relationship with my higher power. but it was distorted through the drinking, the drugging, and my family background. My uncle was one of the major drug dealers in New York. I was raised in his household. And so the thinking in my family and people around me was very dysfunctional, oppressive, uh, disrespectful. There was a lot going on. Once I got into the place I was working at, I decided to go to AA, NA, CA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Codependents Anonymous, you name it. If it fit, I went. And I was going to meetings 3 times a day, going to places. I stopped going to, I love to dance. I've been dancing since I was a kid. I stopped going to any place that was serving alcohol for 2 years. And then as I got my foundation, I felt healthier. Then I could go to, by starting with the AA dances, CA dances, I could go to a place as long as I knew that I felt absolutely sure there was no way I was going to drink or use. To this day, I do not take it for granted at all. I had 20 years of incomprehensible demoralization. I was used, abused, beaten, raped, thrown away. A lot of stuff happened to me. A lot of stuff happened to me before I even started using. One of the reasons I started using, but it was also the mindset of the people that I was raised around. Drinking and using was acceptable. I had to relearn how to think. I had to relearn how to be. For me, it's been a journey that will never end. To this day, even though I've got 40 years that I've been in behavioral sciences as a counselor, I still study. I still go to meetings, not that often. I don't have a sponsor anymore because I've been in it so long. My sponsors have gone. I no longer take sponsees because I'm not willing to take the responsibility and the time and energy it took to mentor people. And
with that, I wanted to ask. I think I might have muted her. I might. Excuse me.
You did. You muted me. I was going on and on, but
excuse me. I was trying to get to Michonne because
okay.
You moving on some of the points I want to talk about because women have different things in the program have had some traumatic experiences, but I want to get to some of this stuff first because that's part of the character defects that I wanted to get with. But Bobby, I don't want to skip over you. Then I'm gonna get to Marshawn.
Oh, there he is.
Bobby's over there.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna get to Clarence.
Hi, Bobby.
Then I get to Bobby. Then I get to Clarence. And then Clifford. Are you on mute,
We
Bobby?
can't hear you, Bobby.
Okay. Then I'm gonna move. You know what? I'm quick. I'm gonna get to Clarence. Bring it on. I want to ask you real quickly.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
What made you get into it, and how long you been having this? You've been in recovery. I don't want to say sobriety yet. Recovery.
Yes. Well. First of all, let me just thank all the people who came before me with their life testimony, very sobering experiences. For me, I had a long journey. First starting to get high, I started as a teenager. In the hood. You start on the curb, cigarettes, drinking, here come the weed, the pills, you name it. It was a long journey, but I went to the service, got honorable discharge. I got out. I worked for the LAPD as a garage attendant, and in the 80s, the cocaine epidemic came in, and so during that time, some friends who I thought was my friends and you know, got me to sample the rock cocaine, you know, during that time. So
I got to get on the charger.
it took many years for me to overcome that beast. You know, the crimes, the drugs, the violence, the ignorance, the incarcerations. Went to the state penitentiary. When I caught that, you know, but during all that time, I knew it wasn't for me. I knew I wasn't born to be a drug addict. I remember some nights, man, out there, I was doing crimes, and I'd be in my mom's backyard, me and my partners, man, busting up this money. And on the other side, in the spirit, I could just see the spirit of darkness, you know, you could call him Satan, the devil, or whatever, just walking on both sides of the fence, pacing back and forth. But all the time I was in my prayer with God. I asked God not to let him take my life. Cocaine almost took my life one night. I was punched in the throat, doing some shallow boxing with one of my workers, you know. I opened up and let him get one in. He punched me in the throat. And some spiritual came over me and said something was wrong. I was around the corner from my mother's house, across from my sister's, and everything happened in an instant. I knew something was wrong with me. My sister came out, my brother came around the corner, my crimies was there. I say, man, he did something funky, y'all get him. My mom ran every light from 106th and Central Avenue to Martin Luther King. When I went in that emergency, man, my head is swollen. I had to hold my finger down my throat to keep breathing. And just to make a long story short, I ended up going back in that first operating room where I saw all these doctors. And they grabbed both my arms because I had my foot down my throat to keep my throat open. And so I was losing air, and they cut me in the throat. I was getting air, and I started losing air. They hit me in my left lung, my left part of my chest. I was getting there, I was losing it. And all this time I was in prayer with God, asking him, don't let this be my last day. And they hit me on the right side. Both of my lungs collapsed. My larynx was fractured. I woke up in ICU 3 days later. I still didn't have enough of drugs and drinking and weed. But I got out, and all this time I was still on. I caught the chain after that, and my violation. And when I got off that violation, I said I don't want any more of that. But still, I was drinking and smoking weed. But I quit cocaine. Now, how I quit the alcohol and the weed are two other stories, but I'm gonna keep it short on how I overcome alcohol. My daily average was a pint of Christian Brothers and 2 16 ounces of Miller High Life a day. And so I caught a DUI the night the Lakers won a championship in 2001. And you don't want to catch a DUI. I had to go to the ENA and Caltrans, hospital and morgue. And I wanted to live longer. So I took a smoking cessation class to quit cigarettes. When I caught the DUI, they sent me to an NA class. And I still didn't quit drinking, but what I did was I scheduled a detox. And before I went to detox, I bought a gallon of Christian Brothers, and I sat on the floor that whole week. I drank that whole gallon, and I went to detox in 2007. And I haven't had a drink since, so I thank God for that. But the thing is, listening to all these testimonies, wasn't none of us, and even the people who are out there, wasn't none of us born to get addicted, hooked, or fall into any of these traps of drinking drugs or whatever you want to call it. It's this system out here. You know, it's like a big bad wolf. It's like he's laying in grandma's bed, and when you knock on the door, you ask, why your eyes so big? Why your teeth so big? And all of these fairy tales seem to go on, but they play out in real life. But it's been 13 years since I had a drink. I don't smoke anymore or anything. So I thank God for all that. But saying all that, it cost me my freedom, cost me a lot of injuries. I was one of the greatest criminals out there. They called me the store monster, and the nickname of Lex Luthor with the greatest criminal mind of all time, because, man, you give me 4, 5, 6 dudes, man, I can create something. We can come out of something, and we be ahead. So, you know, I blame it on the United States of America brought all these evils over here. So we really have to point the finger at the big demon itself. You know, this country. And it's for whoever wants to fall into the fray of these traps. So, you know, I just give God thanks and all the glory. You know, it was through God that got me through all these episodes that I had to come through. So I want to thank.
Okay, hold up. I know I think you keep it muted. I want to get back. Some of y'all jumping the gun on some of the topics. We're gonna get to the spiritual part 2. Who I got on the phone? I got Marshawn and I got Grebo. Unmute one of y'all.
Okay.
You know,
let's go with Marshawn.
Okay, go with Marshawn.
Marshawn, are you ready? I can't. There's a picture. So okay. Hold on. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Okay, there we go. I'm here.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna let y'all know. Y'all go past about 2 minutes. I'm gonna be muting. We got a lot of stuff to do because we got some other topics to talk about. What made you get into recovery, and how long have you been in recovery?
I never really got into recovery or anything like that. You know, I grew up and I had an uncle who was on drugs when I was a younger kid, and I would see him talking to himself. And I didn't understand, like, you know what I'm saying, why he'd be able to talk to himself as a kid. And my cousin was like, that's what cocaine is. So ever since then, I was just like always afraid. You know what I mean? It was always scary for me. And then, you know, I had cousins and stuff, but I grew up in Compton. So it was like, I was always different, you know, like, you know, my brother was more into like the GTA and to like, you know, NWA and stuff. And I was more into like Jodeci and stuff like that. So I just didn't, you know what I'm saying? My pathway was just a little different in the sense where, you know what I mean? I just like, I was always afraid because it was just a scary environment because I seen a lot of people get shot, get murdered, get killed, you know, and in Compton, it's what that's what they was robbing, you know, so it was like, it was a treacherous environment when, in the sense we even thought about drugs or cocaine and that time when I was in school. So it was something I was mainly scared of to just be around in the sense because I just knew the environment that it kept, you know, because I was in Compton. And so I seen too many people die around that environment. So I just kind of stayed away from it as much as possible, you know. I just, you know, just how far as the outside of cannabis, you know, that was, you know, I was just afraid of anything else.
And you know, that's a good point I want to make because I was telling people earlier, people don't really say I'm in recovery because, you know, I still smoke weed and I still drink. And when I got it, because I want to get into what recovery means, you know, man, I hit a couple points, you know, man. And when I got into the recovery program, and again, I didn't go there I went there looking for a job. They told me I was going to get a job. I did working there a year, but when I looked into recovery, and I found out that 90% of your problem was them character defects you got. Because I hear people, especially the 12 step, I don't want to go through the 4th step. I don't want to do none of this here. I don't want to do no self-inventory. I don't want to do all that. Oh, and I really got into some people because I realized if you had been a little kid molested at 2 or 3 years old, you want to forget those type of things. There's a lot of things that happen to people that they want to forget. Okay, not all of them. I'm saying it that deep. You know what I mean? So when I explored that, so then again, I had a chance to look at my own defects as opposed to concentrating on the alcohol or the drugs. Because like I said, you know, again, I drink a couple of beers, I'm going to sleep. So I don't know if I was a real alcoholic or not. You know what I mean? But I know I like to drink all the time. You know what I mean? I like to smoke. So I never forgot to pay my rent. I never beat my kids. None of that. But as I got into recovery and got into addictive personalities, I understood I was addicted to money. I was selling drugs. I was addicted to money. I leave home, be gone 2-3 days. I'm gonna go get that money. But I didn't know I have an addictive personality. You know, some people eat too much. Some people got gambling. You know, we have a lot of addictive personalities. And those are the kind of things I wanted to talk about in terms of recovery. Because again, like I said, one of the things that really impressed me was recovery, to recover to a normal state of mind. But if you ain't never had a good state of mind, you know, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people I know in recovery, man, oh man, before they got into recovery, I don't want to use that word ass, but they were toe up there. They wasn't no good. Then when they got into being in the drugs, they still wasn't no good. Now that they recovered, or the one I want to talk about sobriety, now that they sober, they still ain't no good. They just went back to what they was before they started. They got the job back. They got all this stuff back. But still, they still got the same messed up. I tell them a lot of my life when they was getting high. I wish you go back to getting high and drunk. You was better. And that's not counting the one that know every damn thing. You got sober now, you know every damn thing. So I'm going to get with Clifford, and then I'm going to get back to, I got Chris on the line.
Yeah, I can piggyback off what Marshawn said. I have relatives that had addiction issues, and I saw the bad side of it. The side of, you know, to do whatever they can to get what they need, to get the feel they need. They'll do whatever they can across whoever they will to do that. And then when, as a child, you see all that kind of ugliness. But once I saw it, I decided I didn't want to go that route. Or like sometimes they'll forget the stuff they did when they was high or drunk. They'll forget, don't even remember. Or I've seen personalities. Well, you one way when you drunk, and you another way when you ain't. You one way when you high, and when you sober up, you completely different person. And as a child, you seeing that makes you like, nah, I don't want to go that route. I don't want that kind of. I don't want nothing like that controlling me. I don't want nothing like that to be out of control. But as you get older and you go through things and you have choices in life, it ain't always so black and white. And like you say, yeah, I smoke weed and I drink a little bit, but I don't feel like it's an issue for me because I never had a problem paying rent. I never had a problem handling my responsibilities. And I also look at things of that nature in a different light than you would like a hardcore drug such as cocaine, crack, and heroin, stuff like that is very addictive and very hard to get off of once you start dabbling in it. So as far as recovery, I never really had to do any recovery because I stayed away from them avenues. Even growing up in the hood, I had friends who started selling drugs and they tried to get me to sell drugs in middle school, and I saw all the effects of it. I saw the drug dealers getting chased through the neighborhood all the time, running from cops and all that. I saw all the negative effects of it, and I felt like I ain't want to go to jail and I ain't want to be on drugs. So I just took that route. I took a different route. But as I got older, life is what it is.
Well, that is a good deterrent. That can be a deterrent. You know what I mean? I want to get, one of the things I find out, I want to get Chris on here, is that people take different paths. I went to AA, NA, CA. I like them all. I mean, because I found even the part about finding your spiritual somewhat spiritual God or something that you can identify with. I didn't like the doorknob thing, you know what I mean? But okay, if you can identify with the doorknob, okay, fine. But I enjoy the spirituality about it. And some people get their recovery, you know, through churches, you know, or through the Bible. So I wanted to address that with Chris real quickly. You there, sir? I don't know if you're there. Are you there, Chris? All right. So, because the outcomes to me, and I'll address that back to those that have been in the AA program, those that went through a spiritual awakening, because in both of them, I do say there's a spirituality there. But the problem I had with the AA program was that my name was OG, I'm an alcoholic. And I couldn't find my way to identify with that all the time. Something bothered me about that. When I got into the spirituality, into the church, and to God more so, I found deliverance. So, can you be delivered, or you dead all your life? You know what I mean? So that's where I was at in terms of that. Ron Crockett, got you.
How you doing out there?
I got you. How long you been in recovery?
I've been in recovery ever since 1992. And basically, you know, what drove me into recovery is that once I started having kids, I understood that I wanted my kids to have a living legacy, and you know, being an addict ain't one of them. So that was my key motivator, my foundation for recovery. And I did try. I did successfully complete NACA. So because those was my drug of choice, drinking, as well as using crack cocaine. So once I completed them programs, I understand that I had a second lease on life, and I've been making the best of it ever since '92.
Now, my question right now, because most of the people I see right here that I know, they're involved in different activities in the neighborhood, especially, you know, Doug and Ron and Demetrius, in Maryland, in the room, and you reach a sober mind. I know this, you know, we still got some character defects. What is the reason that you think people in recovery are not more active in their communities? And again, I want to go back to that because the word recover, define again, to obtain or return to something, to regain something, to recoup something, to recover a normal state of mind. With all the sobriety in the rooms of recovery, why do you think they're not as active in that community? And I'm gonna start with Daryl Gray. He knows.
All right, for me, the word recovery means to recover that which was lost. And we're not talking about the Cadillac, the jewelry. We're not talking about the clothes, the home. We're talking about the self-esteem. You know, we're talking about regaining your confidence, your self-respect. You know, regaining your identity. And the problem a lot of people have is they didn't know who they were to begin with. You know, caught up in identity crisis. Now, for me, I had to disconnect, and I stayed around the fellowship like 11 years. But what I saw in the fellowship was a lot of these people moved out of one box and got stuck in another box. A lot of these people are hiding in the rooms of recovery, and which I see with this COVID right now. A lot of these people don't know what to do with themselves now that they can't go to these sober dances, go to these sober picnics, and go to these meets and stuff. A lot of these people that really fell off their wagons. You know, for me, I didn't get sober to hang out with a whole bunch of sober people. I got sober so I could reclaim my position in my family, in my community. I've taken my service work out into the community. I work with young adults from 14 to 25. I work with cats coming home from prison. You know, I work with my community. I've thrown events in my community. I brought resources to my community. I'm still pushing for more resources to come to my community. And, you know, that's my lifelong mission right now is to help my people and help my community out. Not sit up in a room for 90 minutes every night and hear these people tell their little stories, you know, not to sit down.
If I could ask you,
hold up.
If I could ask you, Mr. Gray, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned working with the youth, and I wanted to just ask you, what impact have you seen with, you know, even with the COVID happening and not having access to other activities with the young people and drug addiction, or even perhaps the impact of recovery that you've seen with some of the youth that you work with?
Well, you know what? We have about 3 generations of lost souls out here. These youth are lost because you got a whole bunch of people that talk about how disrespectful they are, talk about I ain't messing with them because they don't respect their elders. But half of these people that's talking about these youngsters ain't gave them nothing to respect and ain't took time out to guide them. You know, all these kids is looking for is some love and somebody to guide them and show them the way through life.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know, we get a lot of people inside the rooms of recovery, and it's like they scared to step out of that box. They done got out of one box and they done stepped into another box and they still stuck. And you know, I know a lot of people would hear me say that and like it'd be like, who the hell do he think he is? But you know, I'm entitled to my opinion. And you know, it's like you know what? I mean, you look at these kids now, they walking in these stores and buying this weed. This weed epidemic is worse than crack ever was and heroin. And most of these kids don't even realize they got a problem.
Right. Yeah, and I want to say that I know I worked with youth before, and a lot of what I noticed are a lot of children who are, and even, you know, we have some people in our family and they are addicted to marijuana and they don't realize it. But in saying that, I also want to say that the Compitos, we are strong advocates for an expansion of access to medicinal marijuana. But youth, the young people, they're just so excited and they feel so good about using it. And it just seems to me that what's happening is we're creating this younger culture, this generation of people who don't realize the drug addiction. Most of us, I'm not sure about all of us, but most of us on here are old enough to remember the crack epidemic taking place in our community. And that was during the 80s, maybe early 70s. And we all just thought it was we just called it rock. And we were just getting excited and happy and everything. And so we experienced that. And to see what's happening with our younger people, I'm just curious, what are we as a community doing to circumvent that? Or are there any measures? Because I know there's a lot of focus on gang intervention and other things, just other things other than that. But I don't know as a community that we focus that much on discussing drugs, the usage of drugs, because, recovery is a state that takes place after the drug addiction has taken place. So what are we doing as a community? Should we be doing more to circumvent the addiction process?
Well, me myself personally, I facilitate substance abuse classes to these young, and like I say, most of them are just smoking weed, and a lot of them are probation clients that have to do this. And I let them know, if you just spend $20 a day on marijuana, that's $140 a week. That's $560 a month. And at the end of the year, you just spent $6,720, and you ain't got no job. So what's going to happen is you going to go out there and you going to feed that craving you got for that marijuana, know? And what's going to happen is you going to go steal something. You going to break in somebody's house, their car, or you going to snatch a purse, go in the store and rob something. And the bottom line, you looking at prison time, jail time, and the only thing you really guilty of is getting high.
And smoking weed, exactly. Yeah.
And then I tell them, look, now you got to be in here with me for an hour every week, and you don't want to be here. But you telling me you don't have a problem. Anything that causes you to do something you don't want to do is a problem.
Right. Exactly.
With that, wait, have I missed anybody yet? Because I want to get back to what we just talking about. Applying, because most of the people I know are doing something in the community. Doug just told us about how a lot of people are stuck in the rooms, because we already know, if we've been to the AA meeting, all the meetings, I used to go in there, they be telling me they don't want me in there, but you know what I mean? I'll go to the meeting. So, applying the word recovery to our community, looking at it from that same point of view of character defects. Our community has a lot of character defects. You know what I mean? And I think we can apply the same method, because again, it's working on those character defects. That's what we find ourselves doing in our community, working on all the different defects that we got in our community. Whether it's the young people, you know what I mean, whatever their problem is, whether the senior citizens, whatever their problem is, whether the homeless people, whatever their problem is, people that ain't got no jobs, you know what I mean, ain't got no daycare, whatever it is, it seems like if we apply that same word to recovery and do the same process, we can come up with the same solutions to solving the problem, of addiction, because that's where we got a lot of addiction going on. You know what I mean? Addicted to money. You know what I mean? Like you just say, they got to find a lot of houses.
Well, there are many types, if I may say, sir. I mean, there are different types of addiction. I mean, people are addicted to sex. People are addicted to money. People are addicted to drugs, alcohol, shopping too much. I mean, there are all sorts of addictions. So, those things have to be addressed. Are we in recovery? From what are we in recovery? And how does addiction, which leads to recovery, impact our community?
Well, like Clifford said, he was doing something with exercising. Like you said, a lot of people got health problems. You need you need to address all the different character defects that we got. You know what I mean?
Right. And some people become addicted to exercising too. I wanted to say that, some people like they've got to get, so addiction. I'd like to hear from the urban facilitator. Can I hear from the urban facilitator about like different addictions and how one thing can lead to the next thing and whatever. Do we have the urban facilitator?
Let's see.
Does he know who he is?
Okay,
I don't know. Can you hear me on there?
There you go. I hear you.
Okay, I'm not sure how this thing's working.
All right, there
I
we
don't think
go.
Bobby went to no recovery. I don't know. He's been in all the missions and everything.
Tell us something.
Okay. Well, what did you just say? 'Cause I've been doing technical stuff.
Oh.
Oh.
She want to hear from you.
Okay, I can hear her.
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you now. Now repeat what you said. Would you ask?
No, I just wanted you to give us a little bit of we were talking about the different types of addictions.
Yes.
That we started off by saying that there can be addiction to working too much, addiction to sex, there can be addiction to food, there can be addiction to working out too much. So I just wanted you to come in a little bit and tell us about it.
Okay, yeah. So you can hear me, right? Okay. Well, yeah, I was addicted to alcohol, real good or real bad, however you look at it. and then I know, when I was trying to get off of it, I was going through a lot of different things. But while I was addicted to alcohol, I became addicted to women too. So those two went hand in hand. So after I got away and came to LA, because I was an 18-year drunk, but now I'm lucky or blessed to be 13 years sober. But after I got over the alcoholism, which I tell people I was delivered, but then I became addicted to food because, and I tell people, when I was to drink Sigma's gin, I couldn't talk bad about nobody doing crack or any other hard drug because I took liquor to another level, and then the point where I didn't even like to eat. So people thought I was on crack because I loved the effects of the way I felt when I was on gin. So then after I got sober, then a year later, I quit smoking cigarettes, and then I rediscovered food. Oh my God, I've been having issues with it ever since. So you can be addicted to many different things. And I'm working on something now, try to control my eating habits.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're waiting on OG man. Come on back in. Did he mute himself?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Hey, Bobby.
So
yeah.
I lost my video, so go ahead.
Both of us did. Hello, my name is James.
Go ahead.
There we go. All right, my day's been made.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, James.
My name is James. I'm a 15-year recovering crack addict.
Oh, James.
Yeah,
James. My James.
Her bodyguard, even though she want to talk smart, that's my addiction right now, helping out people too much. But I'm glad I got sobriety from crack cocaine. Let's see, because I smoked that for about 15. I smoked it since the age of 15, so I'm halfway getting half my mind right. But let some people say I'm still crazy because sometimes. It's like you can be a dry drunk, dry dope addict. And since it's at the beginning start, it's hard getting the meetings unless you do it online. See, because I'm one of them, if I don't see it, I still think about it, even with 15 years clean. I know I've been delivered from it with the help of my higher power, who I've called Jesus Christ. But living downtown LA, I still have issues. I just don't pick up today. And like my brother Bobby just said, I do got a new addiction, and I'm trying to work on it. Even though my sister said I ain't trying to work on it, I am trying to work on it.
Amen.
It's hard, but like they said, when you leave one addiction, you pick up another one. Because addiction don't have to always be legal. Some addictions are illegal. Like Bobby said, eating.
And so with that, we're talking about the different addictions, but so without addiction, there is no recovery. So the topic of the night is recovery, but we have to, it's like you got to uncover the wound before you get to the healing process. And the healing process is recovery. So I wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to discuss their addiction. And everyone is, in a different phase of healing. So we may be in a different phase of recovery. I'm recovering from smoking cigarettes, which is not even anything compared to that. I have a whole different story, but we don't have time for that. But, some days are better than others. So there's a process to recovery. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to share their story. And thank you, James, for getting your butt on the podcast. So, and I'll turn it over to OG now. Go ahead, sir.
You're doing very well. Marilyn,
oh, am I? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. I wanted to interject something here because I am a drug alcohol counselor and I've got over 30 years of recovery. I can tell you that recovery is a state of mind that different people think of it differently. So somebody who was a crack addict may think that smoking pot or having a beer is okay and they consider themselves in recovery. And somebody who is a sex addict may eat too much and so they think they're okay because they think they're in recovery. Ultimately, the individual has to decide what is recovery for me. For me, recovery is a package deal. It's not just one aspect of who I am. It encompasses everything. Am I honest? Am I trustworthy? How do I treat people? What am I doing for my community? Recovery for me is never selfish. It's always, you have to give back. Somebody helped me get sober. I got to be there for somebody else. It's not just, okay, here I am. I'm in recovery. I'm doing great. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. You have to give back always. You have to be available.
And that's your recovery. Yeah. And Demetria, are you still there? Demetria. Is Demetria still there? Did she leave?
She was.
I wanted her because I'm sure she has something.
There she is.
Is she there? Okay.
Yeah, she's there.
Demetria,
can't hear you.
Hello? Hello. Okay, I wanted you to go ahead and say something because I just wanted if you heard Marilyn and how she was saying her way to recovery was really giving back, and I know that you have an amazing gift, and you're a wonderful songstress, and you just be singing, girl. You just be singing. So I wanted. Is that your way of giving back, or is there another way that you give back, to stay in, go ahead.
No, go ahead, my love. Finish your statement. I'm sorry.
No, that's all I'm going to just ask you. In what way do you feel that you give back? Is that just using your gift and singing or with your children or what? Tell us about it, about your path to recovery.
Okay, well, basically for me, I had to, first of all, it had to start and end with me. I can't basically just go and express anything to somebody if I haven't been through it, felt it, experienced it, or know it. I try to stay out of, the eyes. I try to stay out of the prejudging. All I know is that if out of all the addicts there, if I can help just that one, you know what I'm saying? I've made a difference because that one is going to tell somebody. Because the one person that helped me was Terry. She worked at she started out working with Angela. That was sort of American. And I had just, like I said, I just got out of prison. I didn't want to go back to where I was, but it took her to see something in me. And when I looked at Terry, you know, and she said, you know, she just basically just said, what, how you doing? You know, what do you know? And then it started from there, and she heard my heart, you know, and she drove me into Volunteers of America, you know, she drove me into Volunteers of America, and that's where I got sober at. But getting back to, you know, what you were saying about giving, you know, to the community, to my children, you know, all I know is that I have to hold on to me. You know, just because I'm sober, I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, but my determination of what recovery has taught me is that I'm not going to go back to where I used to be. You know, I'm not going to be that 100-pound girl. You know, I'm not gonna be that 100-pound girl washing up in McDonald's bathroom in Compton. Okay? Right. I'm not gonna be that 100-pound girl washing up in Compton, running up and down Long Beach Boulevard with a chicken with a head cut off. You know, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be that 100-pound girl walking from 6th and San Pedro all the way to 6th and Alvarado. Like I said, so, I mean, so I'm not gonna be that girl. I'm not gonna be that girl. You know, I'm gonna be, you know. I mean, personally, I have to be, you know, one thing I learned about recovery is that, you know, they say, you know, don't hold it in, don't keep it in, don't hold stuff in, don't hold stuff hostage. So I try to hold my truth, I speak my truth, and I give my truth to the next recovering addict. Because I'm just one hit away. I'm just one day away. You know, I don't take this thing for granted. I don't take it lightly. I take it very seriously. You know, it's just a strange thing. It's like, it's basically, you know, what you guys said, you know, it's all in how we think. Be that person
I hear that.
I wanted to say something, lady. The one thing I found in the rooms of recovery is the strength that you find.
Thank you, Demetra. I wanted to thank you, Demetra. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. Is the strength that you see people develop in the rooms, and it's kind of go back to what Duck was saying. Like a lot of people are stuck there because one of the things, you know, they have a lot of slogans. And one of them is like, fake it till you make it. That was a good one. You know, fake it till you make it. So a lot of them might be stuck there because they still faking it. They ain't made it yet. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, most of the people here that's in recovery are involved in service. That's one of the things too, when you read the books and you read the stories and you listen to all the testimonies of very strong people, you notice they're mostly of service. Most of them have gave us service, you know, and it's a funny part about the recovery because there's a lot of slogans like, it's a selfish program. I love that one, especially if you're a selfish
But you can't keep it to yourself.
Oh, then the other one, in order to, you got to give it away in order to keep it. You know, they got a lot of paradox, you know, in recovery. I love them. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got to give it away, you know. So, because I've noticed that the people that's really and one of the guys, rest in peace, I used to have a lot of arguments with, was Kevin Michael. Because Kevin Michael used to promote Skid Row as the world's largest recovery community.
We'll just say rest in peace, Kevin Michael.
Rest in peace, sir. And so, but he had a good point there because recovery, if you look at the meaning of it and you're applying it into your life, you know, it's a struggle, but it's a good thing. Recovery, man, has a great meaning. It has a great meaning. Yeah. And so, like me, myself, you know, I always think about recovery in terms of going back to Adam and Eve. I want to go back to the original man, you know what I mean? I want to recover that mentality, you know what I mean, when he was walking with God, you know what I mean? So, recovery means a lot to me, you know what I mean? But it's a good thing. So, I just wanted to interject that real quick.
Hey, can I cut in on school?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay. Early in my recovery, I heard a lady get on the podium, and she had a real powerful message. And I remember vividly to this day, she said that she didn't get into recovery to be in recovery for the rest of her life. She got to recovery so she could one day be recovered from a seriously hopeless state of mind, body, and spirit. And you know, that stuck with me. I mean, how long does a person have to be in recovery before they realize that they are fully recovered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's what I'm
But
talking about.
I think that answer may be different. I think that answer may be different for everyone, you know. I'm not certain that there is one clearly like black and white defined answer for that, you know, because I'm listening to my brother James, who is talking about you know, his struggle and continuous struggle to stay recovered. So I don't know if that's a black and white, you know, answer. I don't know if that's the same.
Can you recover everything lost? Can you recover everything
you want
you
to say
lost?
something?
Can you recover everything you lost?
I have a question. Chris has had his hand up, but I did mention before that recovery is personal according to that person's understanding of what is recovery to them. My recovery is very different from anybody else's. I'm not special. It's just that my recovery serves me the way I have decided to walk through it. And what I've decided is right for me is not necessarily right for somebody else. What did Chris, I see your hand up. I'm so curious.
You got
is it Chris Sykes? I don't know. I thought he was frozen. I'm sorry. Okay, there you are.
You got Clifford too.
Okay.
Is on me?
I don't know.
Clifford,
Okay.
and then Chris.
My question is, can you fully recover everything lost? I can understand self-esteem and self-worth and determination to be better as a person, but some things you're not going to be able to recover from. Some things you got to deal with every day. Some things is going to be every day.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
We're talking about recovery, and recover is to recover from something lost, to recover yourself to be a better person. Some things is going to be done, and you just have to get over certain things and move forward with help, with like leaning on the Most High, leaning on God to help you deal with certain things that may take you back to a point where you want to go back and do something that'll be harmful to yourself. Like some things you're not going to recover from. Some things is just said and done, you know, and then you got to use those things that's said and done as tools to help you in your future. Like some things in your past you need to use to better yourself. Not saying you're not, but some things that hurt so bad, that pain, you got to learn how to grow with it in the right direction. Like with myself, a personal thing, like I'm never addicted to drugs, but I got addicted to like food. Like I've been through so many things in my life, I turned to food. But once I learned that I was comfort eating, I turned that comfort eating to something positive. I started doing exercises and stopped comfort eating. I lost 100 pounds. So it can be done. You just it's up to the willpower that you have to try to do it. But you have to have prayer, because I couldn't have did it without leaning on something that's guaranteed to help me out.
That's part of recovery.
I love food too, Clifford. So
okay,
you know.
I see Chris. I see Chris is ready.
Part of recovery.
I see Chris is ready. Let Chris get on there.
The whole attitude. You got Chris.
No, you bet.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead. Oh, you can't.
Chris, we can't hear you.
No, can't hear you, Chris.
Can't hear you, Chris.
I think Chris may be frozen.
We can't hear him.
No, can't hear. Oh. Hey, type it in there. Type it in there.
He know it, Paul.
He should know better. He know computers. Come on, Chris.
Yep.
With it.
Okay, well, we can't hear him, so let's just move on.
Go to the next.
Yeah, next person. Who did you have up next? Who was in line? Chris, you there?
No.
James, are you there?
I'm still here.
Well, me personally.
Oh, Chris is there. Great. Okay.
No, that was James talking. So what's next on the agenda?
Well,
right. Moving forward, OG man. Go ahead.
Now the bottom line is, again, I think Doug answered a good question to me. You know what I mean? In terms of why more people are not involved in the rooms of recovery in the community. Because again, we need sober minds. You know what I mean? Out in this community. So I'm satisfied with that part because I've been having this debate with people in recovery, for decades. On you got your bling back, you got your wife and kids back, you got your good job back. But I've seen most of them, like Doug said earlier, most of them didn't know who they was before they started using drugs. Most of them was lost before they started using drugs. Then they got into drugs. Now they back to the same old person they are. They still stuck, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Because I work with in recovery and I always wondered. It's like they don't have time to do none of that. They back to the baseball game. They back at the Lakers stadium. They back at the, they doing all that good stuff they was doing. They doing the picnic. They doing the family vacation. They doing all that good stuff they used to do. While things around them, they ain't noticing. So I do think addictions is looking at addictions is important because the majority of them suffer from addictive personality. Okay, cool. I think it needs to be monitored like anything else, just like your diabetes or whatever everything else. And find a balance. Because I like working. When I get into do it there, I love community work. I love it. My wife know I can do it all night and day, 24/7. Call me anytime you want to. You know what I mean? She don't allow that though. But you can call me 5.
She showed on. She showed on.
But that's an addiction. That's my addiction. That's my addiction. So she helped me find a balance with that because she has her own addiction too.
Which is what?
She love to cook.
Oh yeah, I am addicted to cooking for sure.
Kid roast, you know what I mean? She like that. So we have to find a balance thing. You know what I mean?
That's
you want
for
to
sure.
help all the homeless people, all that other stuff. So
I just want to say that Chris,
good. Find a positive addiction and try to find a balance.
There you go.
OG. I just want to say that Chris sent us all a message because we couldn't hear him. So Chris Sykes sent a message saying, we are trying to get back to God. That's the only way we can recover from our addictive personalities. So that's the message from Chris Sykes, who had a little bit of audio trouble today. So just wanted to say that.
And I want to add on that because most of us do service work. So we already know that. Most of us are spiritual. That's on this podcast. We're spiritual. Sometimes I feel real guilty. I do a lot of work and get a lot of accolades, Doug too, man. And doing good, man, it feels bad. It feels uncomfortable for me when people tell me, oh man, you did some good stuff. And I feel like I'm supposed to do good stuff. I don't do it for no praise and none of that. I just do it because it's the right. But it's almost like I cheat myself because it do feel good doing good stuff. Now, when I was doing evil stuff, it can feel kind of good too. So what I mean. And so I think that being a service, being in recovery is going to lead you, if you reach that plateau in recovery, it's going to lead you to service. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Thank you, my wife.
I believe so. Huh? Who are you yielding to? Who did you yield to?
Bobby Buck.
Bobby Buck, go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I was like what he said. I think that all ties in, trying to lead back to God and being a service. It's basically what I think. People don't realize it, but the main thing they're really seeking is a purpose of why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes real deep.
Isn't he brilliant?
And
You're so brilliant, Bobby. That's exactly right. That's so awesome.
Yeah, because I started remembering myself. When I was coming up. I was kind of going in between atheists and religious and right. I was prejudiced and all. I mean, I went through all the different things. Then I had to come around. It was really seeking it. Who am I? What am I here for? I was getting mad. Why am I here? So and then after going through all my alcoholism and then making it here to LA, like people told me when I moved here, people thought that it was gonna be the end of my life because I was so out there. But everybody said, but you moved to LA where everybody else moved to LA to do worse. You moved there and did better. So I think it was a spiritual,
right.
It was a spiritual design. So seeking purpose is the main thing people are looking for, and they get distracted with all the distractions that the system puts out there for us to be distracted on.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I agree with that, absolutely. Anybody else have any closing words they want to say? Anything?
I just wanted to kind of go back with your God, what Chris was saying, and what
Marilyn has her finger up like we do in church. She has some final things she wants to say, OG ma'am, if we could give her the floor.
I yield to the women.
All right.
From my point of view as a counselor, I believe that when a child is born, there is unlimited possibilities, but we're brought into communities where our needs are not met. So what happens as human beings, we look for external ways to fulfill the emptiness that's inside of us. And unfortunately, in our culture, filling it up with alcohol, the camaraderie of youth that we think we're supposed to be a certain way ends up costing us a lot. We lose our self-esteem if we had any, and then we gain a false self-esteem through drugs, alcohol. Ultimately, we are phenomenal beings created to have beautiful lives and to help one another. And if we choose to, we can have just the greatest lives. And they don't have to be spectacular in jobs or titles. It's comfort in that we are here as a human being. We've been given the gift of life, and that we're not taking it for granted. We're not taking the life that we've been given for granted. And then we make that choice to help somebody else get that same wonderful feeling that we have. And that for me is a very large part of the recovery.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to say before, I'm not going to close it out, but I want to say that I have been getting some messages from Clifford. So we want to say her name, Breonna Taylor. We cannot continue this podcast without saying her name, Breonna Taylor. There was a great injustice that took place today, and we all have to recognize that. So, Breonna Taylor.
Yes, Breonna Taylor.
Amen. Can I say just a little bit?
And you go for it, OG. You have the floor, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I love what the lady said, and then Doug piggybacking on it, or as when you go to recovery and you go to get recovered, your mind, body, and spirit. But I also like to say on top of that, let's make every day a recovery day, because every day we have to do something, not just for ourselves. Let's apply that to others, which we just previously heard. You know, let's help someone else to recover. You know, every day we all have to recover for something and maybe even from something. So let's apply that to our life on a daily basis. I'd like to thank Lynn, OG Man, Bobby Buck, all the rest of the panel. God bless all of y'all. Thank you all for enlightening me, educating me, strengthening me, and just giving me your insights on this program. Y'all had a wonderful program tonight. So thank you all.
Let me also say this here. Let me say this here. Today is National Recovery Day. Y'all know that? Today is National Recovery Day. So we, you know, I didn't know it either. Charles Porter told me though. So we hit it right on time.
I knew that.
Oh, you do? Yeah, you do. You keep up with all that stuff. So today is National Recovery Day, and we was right on point with this here. And like I said, I'm always interested in how recovery related to recovery of a community. You know, not just ourselves. You know what I mean? Because it'd be amazing, man, if the community recovered too. It's just all our community recovered at a time right now in America. Right now, when stuff is going downhill, man. You know what I mean? Recovery is going. This word recovery going economically, politically, and socially. And also remember, recovery applies to mental health. It applies to mental health too.
For sure, definitely.
So I'm gonna throw it back to my wife, executive producer, Bobby Buck.
You're throwing it back to me. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm going to close it out for the night. I want to make sure that everyone who's been a participant has had an opportunity to say whatever is on their mind. I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. So is there anyone that needs to say something, wants to say something before we close it out? And we can always continue after the live podcast.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity of being of service. Thank you for all you do in our communities, for all the issues you work.
Thank you. Thank you. Demetra, you got anything to say? Unmute yourself. We're going to move fast. I got to go down the list here.
Demetra.
Oh, Demetra got unmuted.
She's muted. Okay.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes.
I just want to say I love you guys. I love each and every one of you for the work that you guys continually do on a regular basis. You know, and that's what it's all about. We're forming a support system. This is what this podcast is. You know, it allows us to get outside of ourselves and to be of service. So I salute you guys. Continue doing what you're doing. You know, and I cannot wait to see you guys.
I love you so much. I love you so much. Okay, moving on.
I'm hoping to see all y'all back on election day. Bobby Buck on his election. You know, we do that critical time.
Yeah, we've got something very wonderful is coming up about that on voting day, or October 3rd. We're going to talk about voting, but more information to come. Coach Ron, do you have anything else you'd like to say? Closing out. Coach Ron, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you, Ms. Compito. I just like to say thank you to everybody who's showing up and participating, giving their honest opinion about some of these heavy topics that are being brought forth. And just thank you, and just keep up the good work, everybody.
Amen. Mr. Darrell Gray, final words.
Yeah, I want to thank y'all for the invite. I've enjoyed this dialogue. And just remember,
we enjoyed you.
God ain't in it, we came with it.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, and Mershawn.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed the dialogue. I think it's very awesome. And I think that we can see that, you know, through sometimes through the drugs and things of that nature, people can come out and be good. So there's some great things that come out of those atmospheres. You know, some people become great through that hardship. So that's just one thing to look at. Is always not negative things that come from that. And that people need to spotlight on the greatness that comes from it as well, too. So thanks for the opportunity to be able to do that here.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. Mr. Clarence Allen.
Yes, once again, I just want to thank you, Lynn. You're a wonderful facilitator.
Thank you.
OG man, you awesome facilitator. Bobby Buck Productions, you are the man. I want to just a shout out to the entire panel. Thank y'all for all your wisdom, your knowledge. You're giving me strength, empowering me to move on to the next episode. So thank everybody very much, and may God continue to strengthen us all, bless us through each and every day of the week.
Thank you. Mr. Clifford Smith. Clifford?
All right. Thank you once again for allowing me to be opinionated. And I appreciate everyone's thoughts and everything on this and your personal testimonies. I learned a little bit. I would like to say that certain addictions can be due to certain abuses. And I just want to add that certain times you abuse yourself, it becomes a habit, and which becomes an addiction. So if we put more love in ourselves, and we might not abuse ourselves. But other than that, thank you once again, Mrs. Lynn. Thanks again, OG and Bobby Buck, and I'll see y'all again next week.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, some of these I don't have names, but James Garment, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, family members, for inviting me to your Comcast. I like what I had here, and I can't wait to see y'all.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
The next person, I'm not certain. There's no name. Okay, if you'd like to speak, go ahead. I think we've gotten everyone except for one other person. So if you're still there, go ahead and say your final thoughts.
Well, yeah, this is me, the other person too. So anyway, I just want to say, what I'm getting ready to work with is doing an audio book workshop for help changing the mindset. And the audio book's gonna be on YouTube, and I'm gonna start working on that. And I'm also working on healthy eating podcast. So I'm gonna be working on that.
Go ahead, sir. And you know I'm the executive producer on all of that.
Let's just get it cracking. And then also get ready for October 3rd. You know, got ready for November 3rd, but October 3rd, we're going to have a podcast called Do I Vote or Do Your Vote Really Count? And we'll leave it at that. We'll keep everybody intrigued and go get ready for October 3rd. And I thank the Capitos and everybody else on the podcast tonight. And let's keep it pushing, week in and week out.
All right. Love you all. God bless.
Let me ask Sean. Sean has some stuff about the Congo. You want to talk about a little bit of that right now before we go?
Okay, so we're moving forward.
Well, are you going to talk about online or off?
Yes or no?
We talking about having a possible podcast on that topic. You think you want to do it pretty soon?
Yeah, that's something we could do. We could work on. I don't know.
Okay, so wait a minute. I'm not certain if we're still live or not.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So we get somebody who want to pray us out before we leave.
Still live.
Yeah.
Let's get off live.
Who wants to pray us out?
Okay, let's get off live, Rob.
Okay.
Let him play. Let's play it now. Let's go. Well, man, hold up. So we got Clifford.
Clifford is still there.
Yes, sir.
Can you pray us out, sir?
Oh, for sure. No doubt. Let us bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to get together and share our concerns, our thoughts, and ideas in hopes that we can create a better atmosphere, better community, a better state, and a better country, a better world for our children's children. Dear God, we ask that you allow us and protect us throughout the week, that we come again next week with more ideas and thoughts and concerns. With Christ's holy name, as I'll say, amen.
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 All right, God, take it up. I look in your eyes every day. You're tired of this mess anyway. Children are dying, mothers are crying, while the politicians look the other way. We need another day to see the light, a new way. Stop the fight. Peace in the hood is on its way. Peace in the hood is here to stay, cause it's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is on its way. It's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is here to stay, cause it's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood is on its way. It's a new day. It's a new day. Peace in the hood here to stay. People are dying every day, shedding tears in every way. Oh my God, I feel their pain. Oh my God, who's to blame? We need another day to see the light, a new way.